So we'd like to welcome you back for a very special milestone in Stream of Thought, episode number 100.
100. We made it here.
I cannot believe we are sitting here right now after 100 times of sitting together and just talking about nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
technically a couple of times fewer than that, but who's counting?
Not us.
Yeah, not us.
Well,
not
don't forget our secret episodes, which
have yet
to be released.
We got a few ghost episodes that
we are well at 100
private stock.
But it has been quite the journey, and we actually don't spend too much time talking about that.
No, we go
actually
straight into it.
It's just another episode of Stream of Thought, and we start off. Victor has got some.
I had a couple. It's funny
memories
because I have a few memories to bring up, and immediately Rick shoots down the very first thing that I want to talk about.
Oh, because it's all about
just a couple little relics that bring us into hoarding and then purging and letting go of burdens, both physically and spiritually, and emotionally, of course.
And emotionally, of course. Yeah, and we just we spend some time just talking a little bit of my journeys the past couple of months, going to Jersey,
Minnesota,
stopping by Chicago, which is why we're able to do episode 100. I think the fates align for a reason.
Exactly. And as usual, you could probably tell that we're just trying to figure out what it was that we were talking about by the cadence of our voices as we talk like
just
this.
As prepared as episode number 1 of Stream of Thought.
Just as prepared as episod number 1. I don't even remember what we talk about.
It's just a casual, free-flowing conversation.
Casual, free-flowing conversation. 100th episode. We're going on just over a year of doing this podcast, which has been quite refreshing for both of us from what we were doing with the Straight Up channel. Which I'm happy we're incorporating that, bringing an element of the past into it and everything. And it's funny because if you've been listening to those Straight Up episodes, please let us know. It's like, hey guys, I really like this, or hey guys, it's really obvious that you're novices when having completed those episodes. But it's been fun revisiting the past.
And the growth. There's always the growth. It's been quite a journey. I mean, 2.5 years, and we're still at it.
Yeah.
You and I are still plugging away.
Almost 2.5 years since starting the media / entertainment kind of projects that we've been doing, and just over a year on this podcast, which is what I love the most. Like, I've been having so much fun.
It's been the most fun venture that we've set on this whole time.
Absolutely. So bear with us while we figure out how we're going to continue to do this with people, with us living in 2 different locations. Rick just happens to be here, which is why, again, we're doing the Straight Up series. In case you didn't know what was going on, go back to the special announcement. But I suppose without further ado, episode 100! We hope you enjoy. All right.
Wow, we're here. Did you ever think we'd be here, sitting here after
eventually
100?
We had to do this 99 times before
we started getting things right.
Yeah. Man,
how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good that you have this Chrome laptop. That this thing looks brand new.
Oh, wonderful.
It's super portable, super thin, as opposed to the other laptops you were working with.
Well, it was a very kind ordination gift, which was wonderful. But new things, man. New things are always happening. What a better way to celebrate episode 100 than with a new Chromebook.
Yeah. But speaking of new, I got some old things here in this folder.
Oh boy!
I thought we'd maybe just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
In this folder, I'm going to first show you some old pictures.
Oh, you're going way old. Oh, my goodness.
Dude, look at these photos I got. These are from prom 2006. What's great about... My favorite one is this
Great
picture.
for an audio podcast. But
yeah.
We'll do our best here.
All right.
All it's
I just have some old photos.
Yeah.
I have some old photos, and you're welcome to have the copy that you're in, which is just this one. All right, moving on.
Oh, thank you.
We were just not talking about photographs. But no, dude, guess what I found? Do you remember that episode where your mom had found like an old Glen West newspaper.
Yeah.
Right? Bro, I've got 3 of them in here.
Oh, I have all the Glenbard newspapers.
You have all of them?
Yeah. Most of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now I suddenly don't feel so special.
I'm a hoarder when it comes to stuff like... Well, but I wrote for the newspaper, too. So,
okay.
So I tend to keep them just because...
This we're going to have to read off air. But you know what this is right here?
Oh, it's the text exchange from...
There's a text exchange. Don't divulge details because we'll sound like idiots.
AOL Instant Message.
Yes. There's pages long
Conversation.
that regard plans for prom.
Yep. I remember this. This was a very traumatic time for me. I remember this very clearly.
Yeah.
It was what, 18 pages, single-spaced, of going back and forth, maybe, what, 5 of us, 6 of us?
Yeah.
In a conversation. And,
a conspiracy is what this was.
And Cooper just being his antagonistic self.
It was a conspiracy.
It was a conspiracy. This is remarkable. Wow, there are so many capitalized sentences, it's not even funny.
Oh, there's another
Yelling
thing.
At each other.
I actually have also...
I love this.
There's like 3 different conversations between you and me on AOL Instant Messenger from, I want to say, fall 2006.
Oh my
so at that
goodness.
time, it was still being used... But it was,
Wow.
I'll have to check that out. But I can't believe I didn't think to print it. But yeah, and the reason that I brought this, because you mentioned hoarding, I've just been going through and just purging a whole bunch of unnecessary crap that I just don't need. And it feels awesome. Like, I have, for example, I have 3 shoeboxes of just random things from college and a couple years after college, like little rinky-dink things, you know, that just kind of hold some value. I went through that crap and I consolidated it to 1 shoebox. I've gone through...
How many garbage bags worth of stuff have you ended
Most
up?
of it's recycling
Okay.
of papers. Just
Oh, it's
all
incredible how
crap
many
of
papers
yes.
just filled up. I still have cartons of papers I gotta go
most
through.
of it's like papers that I have. And I also went through a ton of like old photographs and got rid of duplicates and other photographs that just like, this isn't that great of a photograph. And yes, because at one time photographs were printed hard copy photos and not stored on the computer or people's telephones. They were taken with a device called a camera.
A Kodak. You could
Then
pick up
the film had to get developed,
Oh, man.
and you'd pick it up at the end of the day or the next day and have your photographs, and you put them in an album.
Yeah, we were kids
And
when we
that's
had to do
how-
that. Yeah, we had to go to the Walgreens.
Back in the old day.
Back in my day.
Yeah. So I went through all that, and dude, I went through a bunch of books that I've had. Like, pretty much all I have of all the books I have, they're divided into pretty much 2 categories. Books that are fiction and like nonfiction that are self-help or like story books or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's all these not textbooks, but books that I had read in college.
Yeah.
That
more academic.
Yes. And so I got rid of all those. I donated them. And what's crazy when you're going through like what is it that you need and don't need, you really don't need anything.
Yeah.
And I went through my toys, and I was like, initially I was like, oh, I want to keep these. These are so great. But the reality is, like, if you were to get up and go somewhere, how much baggage are you willing to burden yourself with if you're like going to be moving somewhere? Is how I like to think of it. And I go through, and then I realize, like, oh, you know what? I kept this the first round. I kept it. The second round going through, I really don't need this.
Yeah.
I go back through stuff over and over, and man, I have gotten rid of so much unnecessary crap that at one point in time, it's like, oh, this holds some value. Like, I'm going to hold on to this for a little bit. And a couple of years go by, and then maybe you remember it, maybe you don't. And then all of a sudden, it's like 10 years, and you're like, what was I thinking holding on to this? I don't crumple it up. Garbage.
Dude, you just presented the perfect metaphor for life in general. I mean, sometimes, and the only reason, as you're saying this, I'm just like, wow, you were speaking to me on like a spiritual level. I know you're talking about like throwing out old papers and stuff, but you were speaking to me on this deeper level that, you know, this past weekend, it's like, I just had to let go of things. Like, why am I holding on to these things in my past that really are doing nothing but just giving me extra crap to carry around? And so sometimes you just got to let go of stuff, and even if it has good memories with it, is it really something that you're willing to burden yourself with? So yeah, I think that's really that's both interesting and profound.
It's a cleanse, dude. It feels great.
It does.
It feels really great.
Absolutely.
And
it's hard. It can be hard though.
It can be.
You really have to sort of be critical of.
What I have noticed is this is a process. It's not just you get it all done in one day.
So true.
You got to step away from it for a while.
A process.
You know,
well
come
said.
back a day or two later and just continue to get rid of things.
Absolutely.
But one thing that I did grab that I'm going to keep, because I went through, I had like a bunch of like old Rolling Stone magazines that I kept because I liked who was on the cover and what the main story was. I was like, I don't need this, don't need that. But one thing I did keep, I have like 2 copies of that are still very good condition. Newspapers, I think the day after Obama was elected president. Those I'm definitely holding on to.
Those are history.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like when the Bears went to the Super Bowl, I actually had every sports section from the Chicago Tribune every week up through the playoffs. So that's something that I probably will keep the whole season just because it's a collection, and it's the full collection, too. If I was missing half of them, then it wouldn't really matter. But I was very diligent because it was second year in college, I think, that they ended up going, right, 2008? Or 2006. It was 2006.
2007 was when they were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was my sophomore year. And so that's when I was in... No, for...
Challenge accepted.
No, because I was living in Ross at the time.
Are you sure? 2007, spring 2007.
Yeah, because we went in...
when we were freshmen. 2006 is when we graduated. 2006 is the fall, going into college. 2007 is when they went to the Super Bowl.
But the playoffs, though, are in February of the following year, right?
2007, the spring semester of 2007.
You're
but
right.
hey, we're spending time on stuff that just doesn't matter at all.
Totally irrelevant.
Okay, got it.
So, yeah. I don't know.
Sorry, I just fucked up your entire flow.
You totally...
I'm sorry.
And one for the road.
Yeah. Whoopsie daisy.
So with this cleanse though, yeah, you got to make the hard decisions.
Yeah, but it's been nice.
Yeah.
But it's funny because now you've been in Minnesota and you've spent some time in New Jersey, and some things have happened where it's like, I just really need to talk to someone about this. Like, this would be great for a podcast, and then I forget about what it is.
I've actually felt the same way too.
But
it's been hard, man.
It's been good, and I just noticed too. This kind of sucks, but it was recently I can't remember what it's. I don't know what it is. Is it called the equinox or something? Anyway, the days now are slowly getting shorter in terms of sunlight.
Yeah. I
mean, it's not that noticeable.
I can already kind of feel it.
But I mean, the sun is up at like 5:15, 5:30 in the morning.
It's great. This is probably aside from the heat, and the weather has been very nice since I've been back in Chicago. But aside from the heat, just having the long days is just.
How's Minnesota been?
It's been good. It's been a period of adjusting. I think just changing the area where I was living and sort of looking for a fresh start really changed my mindset and got me going in a way that I could not have envisioned if I was still living in this area right now.
Oh, so you're kind of more in attack mode as to...
I think just lifestyle in general, because, aside from this podcast, I'm not really a very social person.
Right.
And I, for the past couple of years, have more or less been isolating myself from people around me. So going up to Minneapolis kind of broke me out of that spell, and for the first time, I felt comfortable reaching out to people and trying to get back into touch with individuals who I hadn't talked with in years, who had been supportive and all that through the trying times, but also started going back to church when I went up to Minneapolis, and that was something that I couldn't bring myself to do while I was still living around here. And so it's kind of just been finding really any sort of job that would be allow me to be able to, get my own place
right
in the area, and So that search has been ongoing, but while I'm kind of getting into the new swing of things, one of the people who I reach out to is a guy, Joe, who I knew from seminary.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. And so got in touch with him, and that was actually a couple of weeks after I had moved to Minnesota. I reached out to him. No, actually, it was a couple of weeks before, because I was first supposed to go visit him in New Jersey sometime a couple of months ago.
There was a
and
storm,
then the nor'easter
right? Yeah.
came up the East Coast, and I think we ended up recording a podcast. I forget what episode that was. And then I was supposed to move up to Minneapolis, and then that was the weekend that the snowstorm came. So I had these tentative plans to go up there already, and so once I was up in Minneapolis, I found a time to actually go visit, and that was actually this past week, which is why I'm swinging through Chicago right now.
Nice. So it's good to have you back for number 100.
Number 100. I love how this sort of lined up perfectly too.
It was weird because after you left, I was very aware, like, oh, not doing a podcast this week. Okay.
Yeah.
And the next week goes by, it's like, oh, I got some things I want to talk about.
I know. This stuff just builds up.
Okay. And then it's been, what has it been? A month and a half, pretty much?
I don't think it's been a month and a half.
When you left Mother's Day in May. It's been about
yeah, it was Mother's
almost Day. May 14th was Mother's Day.
So 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I was up there for about 4 weeks then, because I left midway through this past week.
Good.
Yeah, man. I know. I've been feeling the same way because it's. I mean, I liked our mobile podcast, but it's just not the same as being in the studio in person.
I could tell you, like when we did the mobile podcast in terms of the phone call. After listening to it one time, I was like, yeah, we're definitely not doing this on a regular basis because, one, it's just not the same as having someone in front of you. And two, like, I liked it, but I don't want to listen to a phone call. I want to listen to a conversation.
Exactly. So, I mean, maybe if we had a better way to record mobile and just make the illusion that we're actually in the same room as opposed to hearing it's audibly a phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
We have not developed the technology to fix this problem yet. No. We're working on it. But yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And hey, come up to Minnesota, man.
I'll be honest. I'm probably not going to come up to Minnesota.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
And let me tell you why. When I think of Minnesota, in terms of getting there, I just think like, I don't know why. I know it's possible to fly there, obviously. But I just think like anyone that goes to Minneapolis always drives. And I do not want to drive for 8 hours by myself. Like that's just out of the question. I don't want to drive.
Most a flight's pretty cheap.
I know, but I also do not enjoy being on flights that are like an hour long. If I'm going to be on an airplane, I'd rather go somewhere that's going for a while.
Wow, okay, so the airplane ride has to be over a certain length, but the car drive has to be under a certain length. Okay,
because if I'm putting time into getting to an airport, going through security, if I'm spending more time going through security and being in an airport than in the airplane, I'm not going to do it. But there's also that sweet spot or not so sweet spot where driving is also just an inconvenience. So that part of the world, that part of the country, I'll probably never go there as the result of the weird, tiny little, just the, how would you say, just the category that it falls under transportation. Too far to drive, too short to fly.
You are very particular, my friend. You are very particular.
One of my friends, he travels a lot for work. And he once was on, I believe it was a 30-minute plane ride. Yeah, right. And I was like, why didn't you drive? And he's like, I don't know. The company just had me fly instead. It would have been faster for me to just drive myself from point A to point B than to go to the airport and get on the airplane and land.
You know, I do have to say, I am kind of that opinion as well, because, I mean, yeah, if you're going to fly, and you're basically, I spent a good 40 minutes in the security line. And so if
Right.
my flight is less than that, and the time it takes to get to the airport and all that stuff, deplaning and
Yeah.
getting out, yeah, it can be a pretty long process. And for what? A 30-minute, hour-long flight? I don't know.
Now I can do car rides that are more than 8 hours if they're like a road trip, like car ride, with friends, or even if you're by yourself going across country, maybe.
Yeah,
But like just
but
for one, it's too exhausting.
I understand. Yeah, 8 hours is a long time.
But maybe I'll
Absolutely.
surprise you one of these days.
You should. It's awesome.
Hit up Hy-Vee with
Yeah,
you
the
and
the,
Brooks.
the Hy-Vee bar. Yep.
Dude,
Their little
I want to.
restaurant.
I gotta check out Whole Foods again. But yeah, I really enjoy the grocery store / bar scene, especially when it's like the place to be when
It's
you're
the
over
new
the age
thing,
of
man.
30.
Yeah, it's the new thing.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Oh,
So
millennials.
you've been in Minnesota for 5 weeks. You'll be there forever, or you're just kind of hanging out, enjoying your time there, and you're not hanging out, but you're there for a reason. And is it going as planned, or is it like are you already like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of stuff done, but I kind of want to come back to Glen Ellyn already?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I have now, in the past week, been in 3 separate locations in a very short. So, my home in Minneapolis, my home back in New York City, New Jersey, and my home here back in Glen Ellyn. And they really all do feel like home. It's very interesting. And they all have sort of pluses and minuses when it comes to just whatever. I like the people up in Minnesota. I mean, they are Brooks and Angie are amazing, and Victor and Allie, even though they're coming down to Chicago soon.
Right.
Two of my dearest friends. So everyone's a lot friendlier. It's a very upbeat and pleasant place to be.
Yeah.
I think everyone tends to walk around more with a smile on their face than with a frown.
Here's my library card.
Why
in
is
my
it
pocket.
why is it down your pants?
No, it was in my
Oh, it was in your
pocket.
pocket.
I was as you were telling me this, I was like, what's in my pocket? And I'm like, what is this? It's a card of some sort. That's where my library card went.
Do you
I was
go
looking
to
for
the
that the
library
other
very
day.
often?
Not too often, but I did check out a couple books the other day, and I had them on hold. And the one time I went to get the second book, I was like, I don't have my library card, but here's my ID. And I'm like, yeah, that works. Oh, thank you, library lady. They're like renovating it. They're making it look a little bit different for the lobby.
I heard.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I feel like
I don't know when it's
I've
supposed to be
seen that.
done, but
That's crazy
Yeah.
that Glen Ellyn Library is still.
do you remember when the
functioning.
library used to be the Glenbard, where the current Glenbard Township Administration building is, or one of them is where the library used to be. That building across where we did driver's ed. Oh, you didn't do driver's ed in high school. The building next to Beaster. That used to
Okay.
be the town's library.
Yeah, I think I'd heard some story about that.
I have a very vague memory of it.
But it's a nice library, though, man.
It's a super nice library.
It's
I
probably the
remember when they were
nicest
building
library
it.
that I've ever seen, that I've ever been in. I mean,
And they pretty much-
very modern, very
Yeah.
clean,
Yeah.
very up to date,
Huge selection of
massive.
books.
Yeah.
I remember that. Well, because I remember they have the year on the building, 1995, when that thing was built. And speaking of 1995, I decided to try and sell some of the toys that I was getting rid of, which I got rid of a lot of my toys a long time ago, stuff that I didn't care about, but these are more like my Star Wars and Jurassic Park toys.
Oh, what a time! What a
Yeah,
time for
dude.
collector's items that
Yeah.
people are looking for.
Exactly.
How's that going?
Well, I just put them on eBay today.
What's your, like, give an example of a toy that you put in a price.
So I have the Millennium Falcon, and get this. So I have the Millennium Falcon, and I put the starting price for like $25 or something like that. And this thing is so wild because you can put batteries in it, and there's these buttons on the side that make it light up and make sounds.
Oh, that Millennium Falcon that they
Yeah.
had commercials for.
And this thing is from '95, and bro, for $20 plus years, these batteries have been in there, and they still fucking work.
No way.
Yes.
No, that's not possible.
It is, bro.
I don't think that's chemically
is.
possible.
It is, because
Are they, like, welded in there now?
No, listen.
A permanent source of
now,
power?
Here's a caveat, so to speak. They are not to be disturbed, and they work. Because here's what happened. I was looking on eBay for what the products that I was going to sell to see what type of pictures they were taking, what type of description they were using, and everything. And I see one of the pictures. I was like, wait a minute. Is there a compartment that I don't know about? And on the side, there's this little thing, this latch that can open up. I forgot it was where the batteries go. And so I opened it up, right? And I took one of the batteries out, and I was like, yep, this confirms what I thought. This thing has been in here for 20 plus years, because I had a Jewel Osco generic battery in there that the design and the text screamed mid-90s.
Wow.
Mid to early 90s. I put it back in, I close it up. Later, I come back to work to touch the buttons. Doesn't work. Bro, for several days, I'm fucking around with this Millennium Falcon because I just have it out now, and it's kind of cool, and I like pressing the buttons and see the shit light up and make sound, right?
Yes.
And I'm fucking with the buttons and everything, and then I discover this latch, and I realize, oh, it's where the batteries go, and I put it back on. This latch also has the metal that connects to the positive and negative.
Okay.
And I put it back on, and I touch the buttons, and they stop working. What the fuck?
Is it working now?
No. I got to put new batteries in. I'm not going to, because I'm not going to, I'm going to sell it, but wow. Also,
you should put new batteries in just to make sure it works.
The same thing, there's this like toy truck. This is how you know a toy is great and amazing. When it's made of metal and not some cheap plastic.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, back in the day.
So I have this truck.
Back in the day.
I have this truck, and on the side is this little button that you twist it and to start the engine, and it makes the sound of a diesel engine, and the lights turn on. And then when you reverse the truck, it makes the beeping sound, and you can press the horns on the top, and it goes 10-4, good buddy.
Yeah.
And that thing also, bro, I've had that since I was like no younger than 7 years old. Now, somewhere probably between the ages of 7 and 10, batteries may have been replaced. I don't know, but I swear to God, I have not touched that thing since I was a child. Again, at least 20 years, and the batteries still work.
That is incredible. That actually shocks me. That could even
I don't
be
know how to explain that.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever tried any of the toys that light up.
Right?
If they still work, they might. It's possible.
I mean, if you think about it too, where they were stored was, even in months that are really humid, it's in the basement, so it's still relatively cool, right?
Yeah.
And these things have not been moved at all for a long ass time. So I don't know, but I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. See, for me, it would be, I mean, I have a bunch of comic books.
Okay.
But I don't really read comics anymore, and they're nice memories and all, but not something I need. And the other thing is, my brother and I share this huge, like, bin of X-Men figurines. And so my thought is, and I'll probably talk with Robert about this, but if Marvel acquires the X-Men into their franchise and put them into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Iron Man and it'll be like the Fantastic Four, X-Men, all that will get incorporated into the Doctor Strange, Ant-Man universe. And if that happens, then that would be the perfect time to sell those collectibles, because those things are back when the TV show was out.
Yeah.
They're like replicas of the TV show.
We used to have, I remember for Christmas one time, I got like an X-Men play set of like their headquarters or their base.
Oh, really?
I don't know we didn't have it for very long. I wasn't like big on X-Men, but I liked cartoons and everything.
Oh, and cards, collector, like Pokemon cards and
dude,
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I had Yu-Gi-Oh, and I got rid of them a long time ago. But my Pokemon cards, again, I took out all the cards that were the holograph ones with the foil background, and the other ones I'm just giving away.
Yeah.
You know, but bro, I remember there was this toy shop. It's still there, Learning Express Toys, next door to where Dominic's used to be. On Fridays, they would have like a Pokemon card trading day. And so I would go there, and we'd go there sometimes. And I bought, dude, this is like one of the highlights of my childhood, right? Because I didn't really buy Pokemon cards. I somehow acquired them from my brother and friends who gave me cards that they had duplicates of or like didn't need, and slowly over time I got like some decent cards.
Yeah.
I never played the actual game that you play with the cards. I just collected them, and somehow got people to give me, I think sometimes, some hologram cards. But anyway, I think I only bought Pokemon cards twice. One of them was like, sometimes they had like a booster pack, which gave like 11 or 12 cards in a little foil package. And some of them were like a starter set pack, which is like more like a box that came with like 50 cards. And I think sometimes it came with like some pebbles or weird shit. And I bought one of those. And in one of those was like a hologram like Dragonite, which is like that orange dragon. Do you remember that guy?
Yes.
And I think those maybe always guaranteed like one hologram card.
Yes,
for the most part.
yeah.
But one time I bought a booster pack, right? Bought the booster pack. This motherfucker only comes with like 10 to 12 cards. And I'm in the van, and I'm shuffling through the cards to see what I get, because we're not on the way home with my brother and our neighbors. Boom, 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 boom. No fucking way. I got a Charizard card! I got a Charizard in a booster pack. That's like the highlight of my childhood in my Pokemon days.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. And to this day, I keep it in a little plastic, like a plastic sheath inside of a hard plastic protector.
Yeah, the hard plastic
and on
case.
the flip side, I got my hologram Mewtwo card.
Oh, yeah. That's
and what
nice.
I want to do is, because I took out all the hologram cards, I think what I like to do is to frame them all in one frame. Like, I think it would look really nice to have it be like a glass, obviously glass, but like have a see-through frame. So like if the frame is black, any wall that you hang it on, you can see through you see the cards, but you can see through the glass and see the wall. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But then I was like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I took out my Bulbasaur and Ivysaur card and my Squirtle and War Turtle card. I'm like, you know what? Someday I'm gonna go on Amazon or eBay and I'm gonna buy the hologram Blastoise and what's the
War Turtle?
Venusaur?
No, Venusaur. Yeah.
Venusaur, and I'm gonna have
You remember
the
so much
three
better.
of them in one frame. So because that's all I really only need of the things that I care about from my childhood. It's like those Pokemon cards are kind of cool. I kept one Jurassic Park toy and like one Star Wars toy.
Both my brother and I have complete Pokemon card sets from the first and I think maybe second edition, but definitely first edition. We have the full complete set.
Like the red and blue Pokemon, you're saying?
What do you mean red and blue?
Like the first wave of Pokemon?
Yeah, the first
150
Pokemon.
Okay.
Yeah, had all those cards. We both have complete editions. But then my dad, also in addition to collecting comic books, would also...
Oh, I thought your dad... I was like, your dad got into Pokemon?
No, but he did buy not just those like 50 card starter sets or whatever unopened, but he bought the boxes of the starter packs. So like
For what
50
series of
I mean, not
cards?
starter packs, 50 like pouches of the cards, like the ones that you see in the store where they open it up and you just buy one or whatever.
Yeah.
He has a couple full of those unopened, and a couple are like first edition
Of what type of cards?
Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit.
First edition Pokemon unopened booster packs.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, the big boxes, kind.
Oh my goodness.
And the same with I think he might have a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh like packages as well.
Dude.
And then when McDonald's was doing the promo of the gold-plated Pokemon things that were actually gold-plated.
Cards?
It was like a thick
Like
metallic...
a medallion?
It was kind of like a medallion, but it was like a medallion card,
Okay.
like a trinket
Okay,
kind of thing.
okay.
But it was made of metal and it was coated in like gold paint, and they were super coveted. Maybe it was from Arby's or some sort of restaurant was doing the promotion, and so he has the full collection of that as well. Because that was like a limited time promotion. That was one of the last nice things that the fast food restaurants were doing during the Pokemon craze. And then everything sort of became all these little stupid breakable trinkets.
Yeah,
whereas
exactly.
something that actually was kind
Wow.
of cool. So he has collection upon collection of just unopened stuff and first edition stuff that's just, I can't imagine how valuable that would be, especially if it comes back to be the craze that it was when it
Dude,
started.
you could sell that for stuff. So some of the toys that I was selling on eBay that I put up today. So for example, like I have the trailer from Jurassic World. You remember the trailer? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember I remember the toy. I never really.
I have the trailer, and then I have like the Humvee that has like. I'll just show you a picture. I'm not going to waste people's time trying to describe this, but the trailer, unopened, on eBay, like these things like several $100, $600-700, $400.
Wow.
Like
wow.
Damn. But here's the thing, though, dude. Toys are meant to be played with. Like, if you collect
That's
them
the
and it's
thing.
unopened,
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. But, dude, I want to play with the toy.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
I want to set them up on a shelf or something in my office, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
But, or unless you buy toys to play with and then you buy duplicates to just have concealed.
Yeah. But it's kind of cool memories too, especially if you have those first edition cards back before something actually became super popular.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of nice to keep that as a fun memory back when I was ahead of the curve kind of thing. There's the sentimental value as well.
Yeah. There was all sentimental, and then like it changes. So like what was really important to me like 10 years ago, going through stuff like, oh, I really want to keep this. It's like, I just, like you said, I just don't need this baggage. Like I have this value in my memory, and I just don't physically need the actual thing because it's holding me down right now.
Yep.
But man, oh man.
So many changes, my friend.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else that I. Did you mow the lawn today? Is that where your shoes are?
A couple of days
green?
ago, before it started raining, yeah, it was. Thought I'd
Are those new
help
shoes?
my parents out. Well, kind of, yeah.
They look new.
This has happened before.
Those aren't your lawn mowing shoes.
I know. I didn't bring any other shoes. I brought my dress shoes from Jersey to Chicago, so it'll be fine. This wears off eventually. It ends up becoming white again, so I'm not too concerned.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, fun stuff. So I'm an ordained minister again.
I thought being ordained, you just do it one time and you're good for life.
Well, no.
No?
It's not really how it works.
You got to pay a fee and renew every year?
No, that's not how it works either.
Okay.
Basically, you have to remain in good standing in your denomination. So,
got it.
I'm not a pastor at a church anymore, so I'm no longer in good standing in the UCC. So, yeah, ended up, that's why I was in Jersey. I was getting ordained back into, I don't even know if I want to try and explain the whole situation. It's just very...
Well, you've already started, so go ahead.
I don't want to bore you or bore myself.
Don't.
But basically, it comes down to, I'm going into the Catholic tradition. I'm going to be, this is the first step. My official title is Reverend Deacon Rick Storsell now. So I can do marriages, I can do baptisms, I can do communion. I have legal authority to marry people, for example.
Can't you do that for like $19.99 online?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. But having the cred of a legitimate,
right? Yeah, I know. I got
the Catholic tradition.
You're doing it the right way, not the fast way.
Is a little more comprehensive too, and
a little more reputable.
Well, yes, and if you get a marriage license, you can't really. That shouldn't give you the right to be able to do. I mean, it doesn't give you the right to do a baptism, for example, because that's also a legal process, or a communion. Mm-hmm. So. It's kind of limited in that regard. But this covers pretty much all the sort of basic things. The one thing that I can't do is take confession.
Oh, damn. Okay.
So that comes in a month and a half from now, August 5th, well, a month from now, in August 5th, when I will be ordained, I know, and I will be Father Ricks then. I will be Father Ricks, yes. And Joe has been wonderful. Bishop Joe has been wonderful because he's fast-tracked the process. Normally it's a 2-year waiting period, but he said because I was already ordained as a pastor and have been ordained in the past, that he talked to the Archbishop, and the Archbishop okayed it, and so they're fast-tracking me from 2 years to about a month and a half.
That's great. So what's the hierarchy of the titles?
So I'll describe
from everything
so
from
when I say Catholic, it means something different than what you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
So, okay. The Catholic faith has existed since the start of the church.
Yeah, I know.
Since Paul. Right? Like
you're like the Catholic faith. It's existed for about. I'm just like, do people actually need this explained to them? Do some people think it's been around for like 5,000 years or something? Or
some
like,
people might
or like
think
500 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Jesus,
you would be surprised how ignorant people are of religious history in general.
Right?
And not ignorant in a about way. They just don't have any
interest
in it.
It's been around for 2,000
years.
Well,
about 2,000 years. Yeah. So that's how Christianity started, though, was the original understanding of the Catholic Church was apostolic faith. So Jesus selected representatives to be his apostles in the world. And so that's the way that as the church became an institution, it organized its structure in a way that you had the Pope, the archbishops, the Pope, cardinals, archbishops, bishops, and priests. So that's kind of how it viewed. Now, there were 2 schisms in the Catholic Church. And so the first schism came around 1000.
Okay.
1250, sorry. And it was between the Eastern Orthodox and the Roman and the traditional Catholic. So Eastern Catholic versus Western Catholic.
Got it.
So when you hear somebody say that they're Orthodox or they're Orthodox Catholic, then they're likely from an Eastern country because that's where it's predominantly. And they have their own Pope who has a different title and all that. And as Westerners, we don't really see them at all in public. We don't really know much about them in common culture. So then in I believe it was 1850, the Catholic Church split again. And one faction said, we don't believe that the Pope is infallible. We don't believe that the Pope is always right. We believe that the Pope is, is an important figure, but we cannot say that his word is infallible. There needs to be more of the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law kind of thing.
Okay.
And the other group said the Pope is infallible. And so the section that said the Pope is infallible went to Rome, and it became the Roman Catholic Church. And the other went to Lyon in France and became the Old Catholic Church. And so the Old Catholic Church, following more of the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law, wanted to be more open and welcoming. And so because they did not recognize the Pope's authority, they allowed the ordination of people who would normally be rejected from ordination in the Catholic tradition. So it evolved that eventually women could be ordained into the Old Catholic Church. That gay men or women could be ordained into the Catholic Church. That married people could be ordained to be priests,
so
bishops,
liberal.
or archbishops. Yeah.
So who are the folks that tie that shit around their thighs and clamp it and like have the spikes go in and then also like whack themselves over the back?
Yeah, they're not really in the conversation at all.
Okay.
You've seen the Da Vinci Code way too many times.
Yeah, dude. Jarvis did a number on himself in that movie.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Paul Bettany.
God.
Jarvis, why? Don't do this to yourself.
You've seen that movie way too many times.
I read the book, and I've only seen the movie like maybe twice.
I've read the book like 4 times.
It's an awesome
It's
book.
a
I
great
couldn't
book.
I couldn't put it down.
No, you can't put it down.
Yeah.
As much as people poop on it, it's very enjoyable. It's very. It's like
I love adventure book,
like
where it's
caffeine, you
like
just need
things
more.
are just always changing, then they're on to the next quest, and then there's a new problem, and it's no, we defeated that problem, and then another one comes up.
Yeah, it's
those
very
are
fast
good.
paced, and he does a great job of visualizing where they are too.
Yeah.
It's very visceral. So anyway, I'm of the old Catholic Church now,
Okay.
which there are certain sects within the old Catholic Church which actually are accepted by the Roman Catholic Church.
Whoa, that's weird. So the old Catholic Church are the ones that are like newer in thought and being more liberal. That's weird.
Yes.
All right.
Because they identify as the old Catholic Church because they go back to what Jesus is saying is that it is the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law.
Okay, I see.
And so that's their attitude is that there's still the hierarchy that they believe. I believe the archbishop is the highest title. I don't believe that they have cardinals. And then it's bishops, and then fathers / priests, and then reverends below that.
Okay. Got it.
So the plan is in a month from now to get ordained then as a father so that I can then legally take confession, and so if somebody tells me that they murdered someone, I'm not required to report it if it's done in confession. I had a lot of questions about that because I'm like, well, if someone's suicidal, I mean that's kind of and he explained to me the Catholic logic is that, well, the only way that a confession can be completed is if they seek what is it absolution from the sin, and so they would have to accept not committing suicide in order to have a complete confession. If it's not a complete confession, they say I'm still going to go do it. The priest is no longer bound because they do not want absolution for their sins.
Okay, I see.
So it's kind of a loophole in the way is if you're still worried about them and they can't say that they're not going to do it, then technically it doesn't fall under the parameters of confession. So that's like the one exception.
Have you ever been to the Vatican or no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that like? Pretty awesome.
Huge, massive, larger than life.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the opulence of a place like this. It's just it is the finest of the fine. It is, and it's just massive. Very reverent too. I mean, there's just images and holy relics just all over the place.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
So, do you know how many popes there have been since they came after Jesus?
Oh, I've known at some point in time.
Like, is it just like 20 or something?
No, it's more than that. I mean, popes actually have a very short lifespan, really, because they tend to come in at an old age and they either die of old age or they get assassinated or whatever.
How many?
There've been a lot of popes.
Do you know how many have been assassinated?
I don't, not off the top of my head. It's easy to Google though.
Right.
So if you're going to be quizzing me on Google questions, I can always pull it up.
What's the process for how does someone get elected to be a pope?
College of Cardinals. It's a gathering when the Pope dies, or in this last case of Joseph Ratzinger, when he stepped down.
Is that the guy who was in like the Nazi youth?
He was Benedict, Pope Benedict, the 9th, I believe. But he ended up, instead of dying, all the popes had basically died in office. He ended up stepping down, and when that happens or when they die, the College of Cardinals, which is there's only a handful of cardinals, maybe like I don't know, hundreds of cardinals. Normally each country will have a cardinal, or a region will have, because we have 1 or 2 cardinals in the U.S., for example. So there's only a handful of cardinals, less than 100. They gather together and vote for who will be the next pope, and they keep voting until there's a majority.
So they get together, and one of the members of the College of Cardinals will become the pope.
Yes, correct.
And they keep voting and voting and voting.
Until somebody gets a majority of the votes, yeah. So normally there's contenders, like the preferati. So 3 or 4 people who are seen as the viable options, and based off of their political and social ideology, they'll get certain segments of the vote, because it's a very diverse ideological spectrum for the College of Cardinals.
I feel like the College of Cardinals, like, how do they get together? Like, they coordinate things via email, or they just, like, send... Like, it's funny because, like, I can't imagine them...
They're in the 21st century.
I know, but I still... it's such an... I just can't put those two things together. You know what I see? I imagine them getting together with handwritten letters that are sealed with wax.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that is how it's delivered when they call for the College of Cardinals. Maybe there's a ceremonial component there, and it's not an email like, "Hey, Pope dead, come to Rome."
Right.
Vote on da Pope. See you soon.
Pope Dave at yahoo.com.
Yeah, but it's very political. But anyway, that's not part of what I have to focus on.
Got it.
Because I'm in the old Catholic Church, that it stops at Archbishop. So, but I might also be joining the Franciscan Order as well, which is a sect that I believe is recognized by the Roman Catholic Church.
Fun stuff.
It is.
Good to hear that you're making some waves and that you're...
Got to do a wedding.
Love that you're doing this at the expedited version of stepping up toward
only
fatherhood.
Operate at max speed, man. Only operate at max speed. All or nothing. If I'm going to do something...
I got one speed. Go.
Yeah, so it's been go, man, and I've been loving it. I helped with a wedding. I gave communion at a Catholic wedding, and I think they were all like pretty much Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
But they were all at least Catholic, so it was very interesting. With the wafers, I had to put some in people's mouth. Which, I don't know, is something I never did as a Protestant minister.
Interesting. They do juice, or they do the real deal?
Oh, it's wine, but they didn't. There was no wine in the ceremony. It was just the wafers.
Got it.
Body of Christ.
Got it.
So that was interesting. I got to wear my clerical collar.
I saw that photo.
Dude, people treat you so differently when you're wearing
when you got the bat suit on.
when you're Batman.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
When you got the superhero outfit.
It's the
suit up.
You got people coming up to you. Oh, Father, do you have everything that you need? Are you okay? Is it whatever? And Joe was telling me when we would go into some restaurants or to pick up some food on the way back, wearing the collar, he's like, yeah, sometimes you'll get $5 off or something your food just because they see the collar. Because it's a very Catholic area, so you go into a Catholic area and they see the collar, and everyone just wants to be nice to you. oh, Father,
That's awesome. It must be super hot though in the 95-degree weather.
Oh my goodness, my friend, it was.
Because what was that, polyester that you got on?
Well, the wedding wasn't that bad. It was by the seaside, so there was a good breeze. And luckily, it had not gotten up. It was only in the high 80s. Mm-hmm. So neither of us were glistening with sweat by the end, which was good because I'm a very sweaty person. But then my last day of being in Jersey, I ended up going into New York City to visit my old boss at Greenpoint Reformed Church in Brooklyn, New York. That's the place where I started up the Sunday school. Yeah. And turns out that she's now the head chaplain for the New York Fire Department.
Wow.
In addition to being continuing as the pastor at Greenpoint. So she has an apartment overlooking Times Square.
So
it is epic. It is epic. Oh my goodness. And so I got a chance she came to Jersey one day, and then I ended up going to New York on the 95-degree day. And I got off at the wrong stop because I wasn't quite sure where her apartment was. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's not very cool in the subway. And then on the street, I'm just dripping sweat everywhere.
Gross.
I feel so gross. You have no idea how gross I feel. Because I think I have a couple of these shirts, so I was wearing this shirt, and it did not go well. It took me Took me like a half an hour, 45 minutes once I got to her apartment just to stop perspiring.
That's so annoying. I hate feeling hot and sweaty.
Yeah, and then the trip back too, Joe had asked me if I could stop by Chinatown and get a Peking duck from one of the stores with the ducks in the window.
Yeah.
And so I did that, which was another, 20, 25 minutes out of the way, and there was a good 10 minutes of walking each way,
Gosh.
each direction. So, and then I had to take a bus that took a freaking hour and a half to get from New York to the place in Jersey where he lives, because it made, I think I counted 45 stops.
No way.
Yeah, it stopped every block. It was like a city bus, and I had to take it all the way north.
Would it have been the same? I mean, how many miles was this?
It driving, if you had just driven straight from there, it would have been maybe 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it took about an hour and a half.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you got to get some Gold Bond medicated. It's quite refreshing.
Yeah, if I had thought about that in hindsight. But as soon as I got back, I just took a shower and felt...
Dude, trust me.
Yeah.
Get a thing of Gold Bond. Oh, man.
Gold Bond.
It makes you feel like
Gold Bond.
it makes you feel like you can do anything. It's really quite great. But one thing to add real quick is, so recently I got cast in a play, a comedy murder mystery. And so we had our first rehearsal last week, so I have another one on Monday. And our show date is August 4th. So it's just going to be one show, just one run of it. But that'll be really fun. So I was pretty excited because I think when I went to the audition, I was like, I'm tired. I don't know if I want to go. But I was like, fuck it, I'll go anyway. And then luckily, it's like, nice.
Wow, that is awesome, man.
Add another job to the resume.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be a unique experience, too.
Oh, it's already really fun. Like, because I read the script, and it's hard because when you read the script of something, it's like you read one thing, and then when you start rehearsing and you kind of like see what's going on, it's like, okay, now I kind of get it. Like, it's so much easier to get like, okay, now I see what was going on in her head when she wrote this. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I got it. And like some stuff on paper where it's like, wait, is this supposed to be funny? It sounds like it's supposed to be a joke. And then you rehearse it, and it's like, oh, this is hilarious. And then like everything in between that's not in the script that people like discover, like, oh, I'm going to add this move or this word and just add a little button to it and make it that much more fun.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's actually going to be in a church. It's where it's going to be.
Really?
Where the stage and the pews are, but it's going to be totally decorated. So I imagine that it's not even going to look like a church, because I'm really excited for this. This will be fun.
That's going to be that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I get paid.
That's always a nice little bonus. So I guess I will ask, episode 100. What has been your favorite? Part of Stream of Thought?
I think now that we've had a year going on this, I always think back to like the first few episodes of Stream of Thought. And I always listen to every episode after we publish it, typically within, 24 to 48 hours usually. Always within that same week I'll listen to it. But I think I might have to go back and just randomly select a few episodes between episode, let's just say, between 1 and 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
And go back and listen, because I remember it. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It's like, it feels good to reminisce on some of those early days.
Yeah. I'll say, my mind actually goes back to the early episodes too, and those first couple of episodes were a little rough.
Really?
I feel like we were still getting used to the two-part component and switching from the interview style that we had done, and just having a fluid conversation. It felt there were a little more abrupt stops.
Yeah.
There were more just awkward moments kind
It
of
would
thing.
be interesting to go back and listen to a few of those now.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've gone back and listened to the early ones, but one thing that I just feel so much more confident now and is just being able to carry on a conversation. I've never been a super social or charismatic type of person,
Yeah.
but doing this for 100 times and literally I would do the same thing within 48 hours, listen to the episode. I would get to hear certain things that I would say, do, or sound like that would be annoying to me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm kind of embarrassed about how certain ways that I present myself. And then over time, just being aware that those were certain traits or behaviors that I was doing allowed that to be second nature, and I was able to focus more on the conversation itself. And it was just a fun little, I felt like it was a little sparring session every time we would record in just trying to keep the conversation going, back and forth. How fluid and flowing can we make it? And when we nailed it, man, we would both feel it afterwards when we had a really solid
Another thing that I really enjoy is when I listen to episodes, and this still happens, where I'll be saying something or you'll be saying something, and I'm listening to the episode, and depending on what it is that we're talking about, I'll jump to this thought, and then I say in the episode what I was thinking in my head verbatim.
That is
what? Oh man,
that has happened to me on numerous occasions.
Even though I listened to it within a couple days, like I don't remember the exact like journey that the episode takes. So like if we're talking about coffee or something like that, I'll have this thing in my head. I'll have some smart ass remark to say, and then I think in my head, and within moments I say that exact thing in the episode.
Yeah. It's the same thing, especially if I have it's on the late 48 hours and I've kind of forgotten about what we said. I'll be like, I kind of vaguely remember the conversation, and we're talking. You'll say something stupid, and I'll be like, that's something stupid, and then I say that exactly what I was thinking in my head, and then it goes back and forth from there. But yeah, it is a very surreal experience to be listening to yourself and be like, yes, I totally can predict what my line of thought would be on a consistent basis. It kind of feels good.
And the other thing,
get to know yourself.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Like getting to know you, it's so outside of yourself. It's so weird.
It's like, am I who I think I am?
Yeah.
And when you have those moments of being able to predict what you're going to say, not knowing, then I think
really
that's a good
fun.
sign. Yeah.
And then the other thing too was when I learned that where you were like, you pretty much say like, you go on these rants, or you have these ideas, and sometimes I just zone out and I'm just waiting for you to be done so that I can start my interject.
And that happens again when you listen, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then it's funny because I don't know, we talked about this in one episode, but I'll sometimes sit here where you're saying something and I'll think to myself like, fuck, like Rick's been going on for a while, and then it's like I don't really know what he's talking about anymore, and then I think to myself, I can't wait for him to either get to the point where he's like, oh, wait, so what was I talking about? Or like, I don't really know what I'm going with this, but you admit to yourself like, oh, I've been talking for a long time, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Or I think he's been talking for so long about this one particular issue, I can't wait for him the next time we get together to say, oh yeah, sorry, I was really talking, I didn't realize it, but I listened to the episode and I was talking so long.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that having that self-awareness, that was a great learning thing on my end, because I
and another one of my favorites is when when I'm telling the story and you call me out for spending like several minutes on information that has
so the point of that
was
the point of that in relation to the story you were telling was
it's like I was just
it was just an interesting story.
No, it was just weird that I noticed that I was running low on gas. So
I found this dollar bill in the parking lot as I was on my way to this bigger story. Going through the exact
What was the story I was telling where you were like, where you stopped me because you were like, wait. I was like talking about how I was planning to leaving my house, Google Maps, traffic, and you're like, wait, so what does this have to do with the story? And I stop and I think, Oh yeah, nothing. This has
Oh, my
nothing to do with the
goodness.
story.
You like being very vivid. You're very detailed in your descriptions. I've grown to appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's been wild. Do you have a favorite episode that comes to mind?
No. I mean, I can't distinct one episode from another just because there's so much stuff that we talk about inside every episode. But it's just like, I'd say just like general moments like that.
Yeah.
But-
Say my favorite one was Let's Play Ball.
Yeah. No, yeah, because I just thought right before you said that, probably the time that I laughed the hardest. When you were describing, when you were like when you stood up and you went up in front of the judge and the other attorney, and you were like, imagine you're just. You get up, and you got all this energy, and you actually do the motion, and you're getting up to, and you're, and you're like, obviously people can't see, but you charge yourself up, and you start moving your arms like you're getting ready to run, like that character in X-Men that just runs through the walls, and then in that
Juggernaut.
movie, like Juggernaut, and he's running through, and he's getting up, and then he just like hits that one wall in that one movie, and just like stops. That sounded really stupid with the sound effect, but the motion, the imagery that came with that
so much fun.
was so hilarious.
I'm trying to remember what episode.
Yeah,
that
play
was.
ball. That
Episode
was
43. Episode
I was gonna say it was
November,
in the
November 16th, 2017.
It was in the 40s. That story was like the most amazing story I've ever heard, and just gives hope and inspiration to anybody who feels like they might get squandered by the law.
Yeah, it's a small victory with a big consequence.
Gosh, that was so damn funny.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite ones. That was enjoyable. I liked having our guests in for our occasional chats. In fact,
I agree.
Neil was able to stop by.
Yeah,
once.
I agree. I'm really happy to. It's been fun listening to these straight up episodes.
Yeah, it brings back so many memories because that was back in 2016.
It was a whopping 2.5 years ago, but
Yeah, 2.5 years ago.
Felt like a long time.
Yeah. It has been a long time since this all started.
Yeah.
Really.
That's crazy that we've been in this room that long. But yeah, it's been fun. But we're at about an hour. I feel good about this episode 100.
I do. It's a great way to put a close to an epic journey and to start a new one.